Welcome to the honest review of the new Saie Slip Tint Radiant All Over Concealer. There are 5 things that I want you to know about this product before you buy it. This is actually an honest review, an in-depth and honest review. I purchased these products. No one's paying me to say the following. Let's get into ingredients as I remove what is currently on my face under the eye using the Typology cleansing oil. I'm telling you, I hate that it's in plastic, but this has been working wonders. This is not about this product, but you know when oils kind of get in your eyes and then you're all cloudy-eyed, and I'm not having that problem here. It's supposed to be a non-comedogenic formula. There's a lot of claims happening with this concealer. Not mad about that. It's gluten-free, cruelty-free. Water first. There are silicones in here. I'm really moving further and further towards silicone-free products. Just on a personal level, I'm not villainizing the ingredient, because I'm not a cosmetic chemist, but they're in here, and I notice when I use it across the face, I'm seeing a little bit of a breakout, but we'll get to that in a minute. See silica inside, that helps blur. This is a skincare meets makeup product. What else is new? Niacinamide, hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid's in everything. Do you want that? I really want to know, do you like skincare combination? Do you like hyaluronic acid being in your foundation and your concealer and your powder? Please let me know. And then if a brand watches this, then they might get a tip off, because I'm just one person who doesn't want it in there anymore. The brand is very transparent. Clean is not regulated by any means. Again, I'm not a cosmetic chemist, but I look for transparency. Saie has a phenomenal website where you can actually look into, you can click on the ingredient and you can see all the information you ever wanted to see, and probably some you didn't want to see. Overall, I also include packaging ingredients here now too, component and also secondary, so what it comes in. The secondary packaging here is FSC certified, 100% recyclable. The component packaging, I believe there's PCR in here. I have to double check that. This is not 100% recyclable. Brand tells you what you need to do. I have it all in my scorecard. If you want to see that, you can check it. It's back on the website. I have honestly reviewed thousands of products over the past 7 years. And while it does not make me a formulation expert, I just really like to look at the transparency. This is a little bit of eye cream from Kjaer Weis. Talk a little bit about application here. This is supposed to be a lightweight, creamy, buildable formula. I have shades 6 and shades 7. It's $28 for 0.17 fluid ounces. That seems to be around the average amount of product, not necessarily price. Sometimes you just get 0.1. So I'm happy for the extra little 7 in there, but there are 25 shades available and you can check them all out, and they do have a shade finder back on the website, which I love. I haven't preferred one eye cream over another, so if I'm using the Kjaer Weis, that doesn't mean that I'm going, buy Kjaer Weis, it's the best. I've tried a couple of these out already while I was testing this for at least 2 weeks now, probably almost a month. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the Alpine Instant Bright Eye on the other eye, just to kind of compare live. Both of these eye creams were sent to me. The Alpine was sent as something meant to be used as a primer. Really nice, actually. The Kjaer Weis texture is a little bit denser, so that's more of an overnight maybe. I don't know. So I'm going to use shade 7. I ended up really liking shade 7 and preferred that to the other. The doe foot, rabbit foot, what people correct me every time. A little bit does go a long way with application, but overall application I found to be very easy. Just put a little bit in the corner, and this is all over concealer, which I've been using a lot of the concealers that I like all over. Some of them I don't, but you know, it's pretty common, especially heading into summer months. And I can apply the doe foot directly to the face. It's not as hygienic. I don't use a sponge. I've tried it. I don't really like using a sponge there, but I've used a brush to get this going. This is the Fit Glow. I'll put a link to this below. This is the Fit Glow brush, and there's a lot of glide and slip to this. It's not Ilia slippy, glidey, watery. It's a little bit thicker and it disperses really nicely. The application here was a standout piece of the equation. I just brush it on and I let it sit for a second. Something happens during this phase. I don't know what it is, but I like it. And then I just press it in with the finger, like so. Gets a veil going nicely. I'm starting to see a little bit of a breakout from this, I think. So I'm not going to go wild with it, but I have concealers that I've tried multitasking with that really never show up so well here. They tend to separate, grab onto skin texture. There's patchiness. This didn't do that, so I feel like as a multitasker for application, it did a really good job. It got a 5 out of 5 for application. I'm gonna let it sit for a second and then I will check creasing. I'm gonna do 6 on this eye. You're going to barely be able to tell the difference between these two. The 7 shade is more of a cool neutral undertone, I believe. 6 is a little bit more on the warm side, but I am trying it over the Alpine so we can see how that fares. It's just this beautiful kind of blurring situation that happens, which made me very happy because the first concealer wasn't meant to provide that much coverage. This is really doing a good job. By the way, if you're finding this honest review helpful and you want to keep seeing more of these, take 2 seconds if you hit that like button. Little thing for you, big thing for the channel. I really appreciate that. And Radiant Medium Coverage, that's the next one. Do you have a favorite concealer before I get into coverage? What's your current holy grail, can't live without concealer that you use as a multitasker? Because a lot of them say they're going to be multitaskers, right? And they're not always multitaskers for me. Well, overall for coverage, like I said, Radiant Medium Coverage. Medium is the key word here. Radiant, great. It's not flat looking or matte looking, but it's not shiny. Your skin's gonna look like there's life to it, is how I interpret the word radiant. Ooh, I screwed that up. I didn't really get a lot. Hold on. There wasn't a lot on that doe foot. Aside of the fact that I have a breakout here, I really think it's from this. I'm kind of bummed. So let's just put more product on there. Let's see what happens tomorrow. I'm not filming. I'm fine. I will let you know though, I don't want to mislead you here. It might not be because of this formula. I will update you on that in terms of coverage. It's hitting all of the claims that it's stating there. Like I mentioned, can you see the difference in shade? It's really hard, trust me, it's really hard for me to tell as well. Only way that I see a difference is when I set this with my triangle, my handy dandy triangle. So I'm gonna build with shade 7 and we'll just watch what happens. I think the building here is pretty great and it works across the skin as well. It is very lightweight, so that usually allows for easier building. I'm just going to use the puff to do it. See how that goes. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Yes. That's pretty great. I'm not sure about the Alpine Beauty under eye. I think the Kira Weiss actually worked better. Otherwise, the building is really good. I'm not seeing a lot of texture here. This worked really nicely, this powder puff, and I see like the slightest bit of creasing. We'll get to that in a second. Coverage, I think, followed through on all the claims. Under eye and on face, it got a 5 out of 5 for coverage. So let's talk about finish and creasing. At first, when I was trying this, I thought, wow, I'm not going to need to set. This is coming very close to the Iris and Romeo, which happens to be one of my favorites. And then I realized it is creasing on me a little bit. It's not an instant crease. It reminds me of the Kosas Revealer in texture. That creased, I think, a little bit more, but seeing a little bit of creasing here. So what I tend to do is I will use either a sponge or the triangle puff. I'll use the triangle puff today to press it in because the claim is natural, never greasy or cakey. I think that follows through. Natural looking, I guess is what they mean. I don't know, I pulled it from the site. That's not their fault. I didn't find this to be wet or greasy looking, and I didn't find it to cake until I started messing with it, but that's not this formula. Usually when I multitask, like I say, it gets a little funky on the skin. It kind of grabs onto patches. Didn't see that here. So then they have this study, and I'm going to set while I look at it and read it to you. In a clinical and consumer perception study over 4 weeks, 32 women ages 39 to 69, 97% agreed this formula was crease resistant, not creaseless. Very smart wording. It creases. Setting because it creases. I usually see creasing, and it wasn't a ton of creasing. It's not a huge deterrent for me. But what happens when I set this? Now, setting, some people really don't want to do under the eye, which I understand. I like it if I prep well. This setting gives it a yellow undertone or something. It dulls out the concealer. That's where I kind of found my sticking point. Creasing, it received a 3 out of 5 on the scorecard. And then for wear test, the claim is that it's clinically proven to wear for 12 hours. They're loving using the word clinically, which like they probably paid a boatload for that. So hey, might as well use it. I do have to set this for it to last that long. So I'm going to, no matter what I do, have a little bit of this dullness coming through with those shades that I currently have. Elsewhere on the face though, I honestly loved this as a spot treatment concealer. I just need to make sure it's not causing the breakouts because she doesn't want that. Nobody wants that. When it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you and vice versa. So with the wear test on the face, I say yes. Under the eye, I struggled with under the eye for the wear test here because I had to set it. This is a good way to put it. It's like a claim check. So the study, and I'm just reading it really quickly over here, 100% of subjects had minimization of pore size at 2 to 4 weeks. I've used this for 2 weeks. consistently. I could wait until I get to 4. I'm not seeing pore minimize. I'm seeing some blurring. I wouldn't hang my hat on that one. 100% of subjects saw improvement in the appearance of fine lines and crow's feet. No, I have not personally seen that. Finally, 97% agreed it did not settle or crease throughout the day, was crease resistant, and did not crack or cling to pack. Like I said, I already saw creasing. Wear test, it's about 8 hours later. I did a workout, and here's what I'm seeing. Overall, I think there's just that fading that happens a little bit, probably because I'm using the powder. There's not a lot of texture. There's very little creasing as I pull my eye down. So I just wanted you to see this in natural light. But you see what I mean with like the fading at the end of the day? I think it's the powder, but it would be creasing if I didn't use it. That's the wear test. Do you want to say hi to the people? You just want to purr? Okay. So the wear test, I think because I said it, would do really well, but I just don't like the finish that I get. Do you know what I mean? Total score is a 16 out of 20 for this. I mentioned the Iris and Romeo. I can show you on one eye how that applies and then just glides on. I think a lot of people are going to compare this to the Tower 28 as well as an all-over face concealer. Do I think it's better than the Saie for all-over face? Not necessarily. The Tower 28 is beautiful under the eye. I can't use a lot of it under the eye, but it works so well in a lot of places. Like the Tower 28, that's this guy right here. I've been using this under the brows, and it really is an easy product to work with. But the Iris and Romeo, only problem with this is that it's starting to separate quickly in the bottle, and I've mentioned it before, and I don't want that. For this amount of money, it shouldn't do that. So also not perfect. What is? I don't know. There's something about the Iris and Romeo formula that is really crease resistant, super easy for me to put on. So if you are looking at the Saie concealers, check out the Tower 28. It's definitely different. It's not as matte as I think, but if you're wanting more of that kind of a feel, maybe of something lighter weight, then that could be a good option for you. Don't know what's in it. Magic. But overall, I loved this concealer in a lot of ways. I love it across the face. I will continue using it across the face. If I find out this is not the thing that's causing the reaction, I have started using other things with dimethicone in them, then great. Would I repurchase it? So much plastic. I don't want plastic anymore. So there's that to contend with. I wouldn't probably repurchase it for under eye, I can tell you that much. And I know that might be an unpopular opinion. What do you think? Would you buy it again? Do you see between the two? Actually, you can see it in this light. You can see the two differences. This is almost looking a little peachy. And this is looking bright without strong contrast. Maybe it's a shade thing. Maybe if I went up a shade for Saie and then set it, I wouldn't have that issue. But a lot of the shades looked warm. Here we are in natural light. I'm standing right next to the window. Zoom in. So this is the Iris and Romeo. It's a little bit brighter. And then you have the Saie over here on this side. There's just a slight yellowing that if you're like me and crazy and you're like looking at it, you can kind of tell the difference. Do you know what I mean? Both give that velvety finish though. They do a really good job. They're pretty good. They're both contenders. What do you think? It is a top contending concealer, I think worth checking out, but I don't know if it's going to be my favorite. So let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching this full in-depth review. I hope you did find it helpful. If you did and you haven't already, hit that like button. Here are some more concealer reviews if you're still on the hunt. You can find it all and more back on the website with my absolute favorites. Bye.